Carlos Nelson with Cascade Media Group, and today featuring another one of our Black artists, Mr. Leonard Ledoux. How you doing, Leonard?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing real good.
Hey, Leonard, I usually
Yeah.
go like this. Go back to kindergarten and talk about how you fell in love with art. Talk about some of your mentors that helped you develop your talent. And as I said, let's go back to kindergarten. What schools you went to, and how you arrived at Cascade Media calling you, because you obviously doing something right in the art world. And I think that some of the work that I've seen is magnificent.
Thank you so much. Well, I grew up in the dock over in Kansas City, Kansas. So I'm from that side of the tracks in the North End. And I had a lot of mentors when I was growing up back then, not school training art at all, but just had a lot of good mentors in school that were there helping me to develop what little art I have. And I learned how to do it. Uh, it's funny because when I was in the fifth grade, I was entered into a contest. I guess they was looking at my art. I had a, a painting that was entered into an art contest that went over to Japan. They didn't tell me about it until after it came back with results. But being a fifth grader, which is probably what, about sixth, seventh, eighth grade, 8 years old or something like that. Anyway, I had a piece that went over there, and it came out with an honorable mention. And this was back in probably about 1968, 9, something like that, around that time frame. Uh, so when I saw that, and I was already liking art anyway, I just said, well, if my art can go overseas to another country of people I don't know and they like it, then maybe there's something to this. So I just kind of kept developing it, even though I didn't go to school for it. I went into the military, and although I was in the service during that time, I was doing art. Now I grew up, like I said, in Kansas City, Kansas, went to Sumner, Northeast, uh, Banneker, both, Dunbar South. Went to those schools, and a lot of people weren't. They wasn't really doing art. They were doing art, but it wasn't like saying that art was something that you could go into as a career or anything. But when I got in the military, I dibbled and dabbled a little bit as I was in the military, even though I wasn't in there just to do art. I still kept my art going. But what got me to where I am now in the art world was actually the pandemic, because I retired from working the government service and all that. And, when the pandemic hit, I had more time on my hands to do a lot of things. I was like, well, let me get back into this art thing. Before I started painting in 2019, 2020, I hadn't painted anything or did anything for 20 years. And so I started painting, and during the pandemic, I painted almost 200 paintings, and a lot of stuff just came out. And because I'm retired, I can perfect my art every day because I'm painting something at least 2 or 3 hours or more a day, so that I'm able to get to the point where I am right now. So some of the mentors in art that I liked back in the day that was coming up were, like LaShawn Bills, some of the Black artists that were out. So, out with Picasso, some of the white artists, that you normally would see. But I just took this thing and I wanted to take it to another level and kind of bring it to where, what can I bring to it? By me having a degree in history, I try to take the historical aspects of what Blacks were going through in their life and try to paint that and put it on canvas. So that's how I got to this point. And you can hear my dogs.
That's all
in the
right.
background. Okay.
But how would you classify?
Okay, sorry.
How would you classify your art? Like, you have impressionists, you have realists, you have. How would you classify what you do and your style?
Kind of hyper realism is where I've been going towards, because I try to get as much realism in humans because I like to paint people. So when I paint people, hold on a second, I'm doing an interview. So when I paint people, I try to make them as real as possible. My daughter just walked in. Anyway, I had to stop it. But anyway, so I try to get into the realism of realism as much as I can. So that's why I try to pick subjects that have people. And a lot of times, you know, even though a lot of people are now into more abstract and stuff like that, and just colors, or just throwing colors on paint on items. Honey, I'm interviewing. So I just think I'm more into the hyper realism aspect of things, you know, because I like coloring people, putting the layers.
That's the first time I've, again, I'm not in the art world, but that's the first time I've ever even heard the term hyper realism.
Yeah, that's when you see a lot of people drawing portraits or of people moving around or doing certain things like you see in my art. The most realism you can in making a person look like a person. Because, you know, you can have art as subjective, so you can have people look like cartoons or whatever you want, but I try to make them look as real as possible. So that, you know, and
go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, you said you never heard the term hyper realism. So
right.
Yeah, that's a term. I'm not saying it's fairly new, but it's been around where you try to focus on painting humans or animals or anything to the point where they're as real as possible with the shading, the lighting, and everything that comes with that. You know, hair. Just trying to make this stuff look as real as you can get it. So, and I'm still working on that, trying to do that.
Tell me this. You say you did about 200 paintings?
Yeah.
What are most of them about?
Well, most of the paintings are, like I said, are humans or different things. I've done nudity, different types of stuff, just to get myself back into the focus of painting. Like I said, I hadn't painted nothing before 2020. I hadn't painted nothing in about 20 years. So I was just trying to get myself focused back on just different things. So I've done some abstract, some different things, but mostly I wanted to get into just different types of art where there's people doing.
Have you had some showings?
I've had showings. Matter of fact, I got a show coming up April 16th. I'm going to be doing a show at the Stony Creek Hotel and Conference Center, where I'm going to be doing a show there with a few other artists. I'm going to be doing, I'm now in the Jones Gallery now. I have some paintings there that's going to be starting on the 5th of March. Also, I have a show that I just finished in Overland Park at Images Art Gallery, where I did some stuff there. I was a featured artist there for a month. So I had about 20 paintings in that show. So yeah, I've been getting out there trying to get myself out there where people know who I am. And not only in Kansas City, but in other places as well.
How do you feel that the people in this area have accepted your work? How many pieces have you sold? Are you selling that art the way you
I am selling the art. I've sold, I guess since I've been back in the system, I've sold probably about 15 pieces, ranging in different prices. I think the highest I sold was $2,000. I sold a painting for that amount since I've been back into the game. But like I said, you know, it's just perfecting the art and getting it to a point where it's worthy, because people don't understand, you know, you have to get to to people who are collectors and people who really enjoy art. A lot of people here, you know, they know you, they want to get the Homeboy Network, or they want to get some type of free deal, or, you know, something like you would buy a Ross or something for, you know, and usually it takes about 15 hours to do certain things. So I just want to be able to get this out there and get what the art is worth, especially for the stuff that you're doing for the, you know, the price.
Right.
And the time. You know, a lot of people don't understand
at your art.
Time to do it.
I looked at your art, and it's definitely worthy of, to me, a couple of them paintings are worthy of some big bucks, like $5,000. And, you know, in my estimation, and I think you're in the right direction, because it only goes up once you get the exposure.
Right. And the exposure is just getting to the right collectors, because you have people, like I said, you got to get to the right demographic, and those that collect art and know art and know what the value of art is, what you try to go towards. You know, you can't be relying on your family and your friends to do that, unless they're avid collectors and know what art is. You got to get out of that box and go ahead and try to get the people that know art. Like I said, you got collectors that are all over the world. You have to get yourself in a mindset to pursue those people.
Expand, right.
If you stick around just your neighborhood, people going you're just Leonard Ledoux. You're not somebody that's an artist to them. You're just somebody they know. So they want the homeboy.
The homeboy price. Hold it.
Right,
And that's across our community in general, and putting value. A lot of times, things that Black people do, and this across the board, don't have to be art. We don't put the same value as we do with. But when you get out of town, Leonard, and it gets back here, oh, they bought a piece for $25,000. Now everybody in your area is like, hey, that guy Leonard Ledoux, he's can I get a piece? And then when you give them a little small picture frame and say I want 5,000, then they what? Oh, you could have got the big whopper back in the day, but you didn't realize it. You didn't put no value on it. And so
right.
I understand.
Yeah, it's not that we're trying to get over or anything like that. See, people don't understand. When they have a product, they want you to pay what they want. But when it's you selling something, like I'll give you an example. Go to Amazon. You haven't even seen the product, but you trust that person to send you what you paid for. Well, it's the same thing in this product. I have what's here. You see what's available, and I've even done stuff where I've had people do payments until they pay it off and then they get the product. But it's not that we're trying to get over or that we think that we're so high. It's just the time and effort that you put in to get
But see, they're not looking at well, they not just the time and the effort. This is some things that I've had to notice myself in dealing with artists. The same thing with what I do. Creativity is a bitch. Trying to let's more put it on the canvas. Being creative, that's time that you're spending. If you want to log in all the time to create this one piece, and then how much is your time worth?
And see, there's a formula to this too. That if I was to use the actual formula, because you have to take the painting by size times size, and then time that by square inch of how much paint you put on there. A lot of these paintings will already be $5,000 or $6,000 starting out, because I paint big paintings. The smallest painting that I've ever painted so far in my what I've been doing is usually a 24 by 30. That's very small to me. Most of my paintings are 40 by 30, 36 by 48. I even have one that's 60 by 72. But if I was to sell those paintings for the dimensions that I gave you, $10,000-$15,000 easily. But I'm trying to still come down to where some people can understand or be able to even think they can maybe try to buy it, But I've also learned that you can't do that in this world, in this thing, because if you do, you're never going to get what your stuff's worth, because you're always going to be compromising to what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either you buy what I got or get prints of what I have. Now, if you used to go into Ross or Seventh Heaven and buying stuff, then that's probably where you need to still go to get $10 to $15, $25 paintings, because that's just where you're going to get that. You're not going to get that from me. And it's not that I'm arrogant or think I'm better. It's just that the art, it takes time, and it's a lot. You said creativity is it.
Well, let's take a look at some of your artwork right now. So, in closing, what I'd like for you to do is talk to young artists that are just starting out, or have a little time up under their belt. What kind of words of wisdom or encouragement would you give them?
Well, I would like to say that if this is something you really want to do, and it's not a get rich quick scheme, you got to really love art or doing this thing. So if you like creating and creativity, then you got to stick with it. You cannot give up. You have to continue to do it. Even if the painting, when you're painting a painting, there's different stages in the painting. You start out, it might not look like it's doing that, but you got to keep putting the paint on there for it to get its form. I would encourage young artists that you just keep going with it. If you really like what you're doing, you got to get yourself out there and market yourself to a point where you can get yourself out there. That's the main thing, is get yourself out there so people can see what you're doing, because nobody's going to do it for you in anything that you're trying to sell. You got to get out there on your own. That's what you need. And to get yourself where you got to be, if nobody likes your art, at least you paint for yourself, not for what they want.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
And well, I was remiss in asking you this, because when we start talking about these prices and what have you of the artwork audience, I was talking to another artist that I had featured, Harold Smith, just the other day, and Harold was saying, man, the cost of art supplies have gone through the roof.
Right, they have, because everybody's home now, so they got time to do this stuff. You might not be able to find some of this stuff that you're looking for now versus pre-pandemic versus now, because people have time to sit back. They're at home now more. They're doing more creativity. It's just hard to get stuff, so they're going to raise the prices. Just like you go out here and try to buy some turkey or chicken, try to buy some wings. It's $15, $20 for a pack of chicken.
Hey man, I can't even believe. Look at that gas price right now.
Right. So they want to blame the president or whatever the cost, whatever the reason. It's going to cost more to do that. So that's the reason why that stuff's coming up. But my thing is you can't give up. Get your stuff if you can, and try to get it to where you have enough of it, and then just work with it. So that's what you got to do.
Hey, Leonard, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. And how can our audience get in touch with you if they see some of the art that is in this interview and they would like to purchase?
Okay, well, there's you can get me on social media. You can get me on Facebook. I have a Leonard Little Jr. Art there, Artistic Productions, or Instagram. I'm on there a lot. I like using Instagram a lot. You can contact me there to get any of the pieces that you may see. Some of those pieces that he has shown you may not be available, but you have to call to find out if it's there. But those are usually good ways to contact me. You can, like I said, Facebook or Instagram. My phone number, you can call me there. And I don't like to give the number out, but right, I'll give it out.
That's me, hold it. But me, I don't have no gatekeepers. I don't care who calls. If I don't want to talk to you, I'm like,
it's not about a gatekeeper. It's just about, you got people just calling, period, for whatever reason. But the number is 816-982-2204. So I don't mind, as long as you call and you're serious about buying. You have people that call you and they're not serious. They think they're gonna talk you down if you wait long enough. Especially like if you're at a art show or something. It's like they go to a vendor and they wait till almost time to close. They think they can get a cheap price. It doesn't work like that with art. Well, it doesn't work like that with me.
It used to work like that with me and my company, but I know my company and what we do have value, and I am not. You're gonna do it my way, or you're not gonna have my product.
Exactly.
And that's just business.
I'm not rich, but I'm not thirsty either. So
there you go. Well, see, I was thirsty. I had to wait until
you can come to me if you're serious about buying something. We'll talk. But if you're not, then just take your time and go wherever you think you can afford your stuff. Not trying to be arrogant or anything, just being honest with you, because you have a lot of people.
Worth. That's the whole thing that I'm saying.
Call you and as soon as you tell them the price, they get mad. Like, I'm just saying, that's what it
But
costs.
you know what? Most time they can get mad or whatever, but if they're not really a collector and a collector see that, they won't even believe the price that you gave it to them for.
Exactly.
They'll be like, man, you got away with murder.
Right, exactly. And these prices are low compared to what they could be worth. You're absolutely right.
So
I appreciate you having me on the show.
What we say in closing, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.
This is brought to you by Africana Art.